How many vehicles have been designed and built specifically for films and TV series? Hundreds, if not thousands. Among them, there were designs so unique that they overshadowed the main characters, often becoming icons of popular culture. One such creation was the impressive Quest Coupe, created for the 1969 British science fiction film Doppelganger, also known as Journey to the Far Side of the Sun. In Poland, the film was titled On the Other Side of the Sun, and the car itself quickly gained notoriety as one of the most compelling visions of cinematic motoring in the late 1960s. The original car was built in London. The design was created by Derek Mettings, one of the most respected special effects artists, responsible for sets for Thunderbirds and the James Bond films, among others. Construction was handled by Alan Mann, an experienced designer and owner of Alan Mann Racing. The Quest was part of a series of futuristic concepts developed for productions by Jerry Anderson, creator of titles such as UFO. In fact, the series featured the stylistically related Straker and Foster models, based on the Ford Zephyr Mark IV. These designs inspired subsequent work on a fully fledged road-going version of the Quest. The idea of transforming the film's vision into a real-world car was seized upon by Sidney Carleton and David Lowes. With mass production in mind, they founded Explorer Motor Company, a company tasked with providing niche yet striking vehicles to the market. The road-going Quest was designed to faithfully capture the stylistic ambiance of the futuristic original, while also meeting the safety and practicality standards required by the regulations of the time. Despite its immense ambition, the project proved to be a significant financial challenge. The costs of handcrafting the body and modifying components steadily rose, significantly limiting the vehicle's market potential. The road-going Quest differed from the film, but contrary to appearances, these weren't stylistic concessions. On the contrary, the car retained most of the original's futuristic features. The remarkably flat bodywork featured sharp aerodynamic lines and gull-wing doors. The interior, designed in the spirit of the space-age aesthetic of the 1960s, offered a semi-reclining driver and passenger position, intended to lend the car a sporty character. The entire body was constructed of fiberglass, allowing for a unique shape while simultaneously reducing the car's weight. The Quest also featured innovative solutions that made it one of the most extraordinary cars of its era. Among them, a fiber optic connection between the headlights and the dashboard illuminated the gauges with the same beam of light. The most controversial feature, however, was the front fascia, filled with a radioactive gas, supposedly harmless to the driver. Once exposed to light, it was supposed to glow 24/7, making the car visible and giving it an almost cosmic character. It was a spectacular solution, though far from standard production motoring. Technically, the Quest utilized the chassis of a Ford Zephyr Mark IV, modified to fit a very low body. The power plant was borrowed from the Ford Cortina. The 1.6-liter engine, though small, delivered surprisingly decent performance thanks to its lightweight construction. The suspension was adapted to the specific weight distribution and very low driving position. The car handled differently from a classic coupe, but initial tests showed it could have been competitive in the low-volume sports car segment, if not for its prohibitive price. The creators expected a whopping £3,000 for the Quest, almost half the price of the Jaguar E-Type at the time. This price almost immediately dashed any chance of larger sales. Despite its attractive styling and media attention, buyers were scarce. Explorer Motor Company planned to produce a short production run of perhaps a dozen or so examples, but ultimately only 3 were sold. Some sources even mention that only 1 example was completed in its full configuration, with the rest being prototypes. Although the Quest was not a commercial success, it went down in history as one of the most ambitious attempts to translate cinematic fantasy into reality. The car quickly gained collector's item status, and its uniqueness made every surviving example a rarity. Today, this design inspires concept designers who eagerly embrace the bold lines and radical proportions of the retro-futurist era. The Quest is a reminder that cinema and the automotive industry can create a collaborative, incredibly creative environment. Today, the Quest is enjoying a resurgence of interest, both among fans of Anderson's films and enthusiasts of historic concept cars. It appears in exhibitions, design publications, and private collections. Some enthusiasts even attempt to recreate it in replicas based on classic Fords. Although its commercial failure ended the Explorer Motor Company, the concept itself proved timeless. A Quest proved that visionary courage can endure for decades, regardless of whether the market was ready for it.